They say I'm crazy, got no sense, but I don't care. They may or may not mean offense, but I don't care.
Well, first of all, let me just go on with this a little bit more. Because, I can remember wonderful things. You know, I can remember my first fight with my sisters when my sisters, you know, as older sisters will do, became impatient with me. And we were at my grandmother's house, and my aunt was there, and my two sisters came home from school, and they both had a candy bar. Wish I could remember the name of that. They had one of those nickel candy bars, you know. And I think they were a little tired of me by then, because you know how any kid gets tired of dragging around her baby sister. Well, the minute they walked in the door, I started to yell, and I said, "Give me a bite of the candy," and they just didn't want to, you know. And my aunt came in, and she said, "Well, you two selfish girls, give your poor little baby sister a bite," and they threw the candy on the floor rather than give it to me. So my aunt locked them in the closet for a half an hour. Oh, and it was a big scene, you know. But all the fights and all of the fun were normal, and I can remember my sister going to school one day and laughing so she was just a kid, you know, just baby herself. And so they had a fire drill, and she had a great big all-day sucker. And they had a fire drill, and a boy had tried to kiss her cheek on the fire, and she slammed him with her all-day sucker, and it stuck on his face. And then I remember snowball fights in the back of my grandmother's house. And I remember my older sister was just wonderful to me once, because they let me come out into the fight. You know, they'd build fortresses, you know, and they'd have one gang on one side and one on the other, behind the other fort. And they'd just, you know, throw snowballs, and then you'd look up, and if anybody got popped with a snowball, it counted against you, I guess. And then they never let me in them. But finally, my older sister one day said, "Well, you can come." So I got out into the snow with them, and I was so thrilled, you know, to be with older kids and everything. And I looked up once, and a kid named Bernard something or other threw a snowball with a rock in it, and it clonked me, you know. Well, my sister took out after him and just beat the dickens out of him, you know, and threw tin cans at him, and took me in her arms and put snow on my head and babied me, you know, and it was really, now those are the kind of things I remember. At any rate, for such a mixed-up life later, it started out beautifully, you know. And then at one point, I don't remember just how exactly, my sisters would remember this, I imagine, there was a show at my dad's theater, and I was too. And it was Christmas time, and I had this white dress that my mother made for me for something. But I was sitting on my grandmother's lap in the audience, and my two sisters were on the stage. And they were sort of old pros by then, you know, they'd been appearing in that theater for years. And my grandmother pushed me off her lap and said, "Go on, get up on the stage." And so I went to my mother, who was in the pit, and asked her if I could sing, and she said, not tonight, but next week. Evidently they had these once a week. Then we went, that's how that, we went home, and she made the white dress, and they taught me Jingle Bells to sing on the stage. So I remember going on the stage with a bell, a little bell, dinner bell, you know. And all I did was run around in a circle, and I was supposed to sing Jingle Bells and get off. And everybody started to sort of applaud, and I liked it, and I just stayed there and I sang one chorus after another. My mother was howling with laughter, but she kept playing. And my father was in the wings saying, "Come on, you know, get up." And I couldn't hear my father. I guess I fell in love with the lights and the music and the whole thing, right? And anyway, they couldn't get me off. I must have sung about 9 choruses of Jingle Bells. My father finally came out and got me over his shoulder as I rang the bell, still singing Jingle Bells into the wings, you know, and trying to get the laugh. And I was a big hit. So then it became the Gum Sisters, you see.
Let's stop for one minute.
Yeah.
There was a period of time.
After that first appearance on the stage, there was evidently a trip that I can't recall too well. We visited California. We visited some of Mother's friends, my dad's friends by the name of Divine. I remember their name was quite Divine. And then we came back to Grand Rapids. Then my parents decided to move to California, so my daddy sold his theater.
What was the name of the theater?
The Rialto.
The Rialto.
Yeah. And we got in the car, and we always had an awful time with me because I always got car sick. So it was just a matter of stopping every hour or so I'd upchuck, you know, and we'd go on. And it was such a bore. But we worked our way to California. You see, my mother and father went back to their original vaudeville act they did before they bought the theater, Jack and Virginia Lee. And they booked themselves as Jack and Virginia Lee, and they booked us as the Gum Sisters, because 2 acts made more money than a family, you know. So what we would do is we played these funny little theaters all across the country. In the country.
How did it?
My dad did it, I guess.
In advance, or you just stopped?
No, just stopped and got a job. Yeah.
Got a job and worked
First
there
thing,
for 2
yeah.
days.
No, we work
A week?
1 month.
Oh, one
Yeah,
night.
1 month.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
And we get some money, and then we travel a little more and have some fun. Then when we wanted to work again, but my father had enough money.
He did have enough.
Yes, no, my father had enough money. We did this just kind of for fun, you know.
How long did it take you? Do you remember that?
No idea. No, I don't have any idea. Must have taken quite a while.
I would think so.
We didn't work a lot of places because, as I say, we were well taken care of, you know.
About how many engagements would you say you've worked?
I haven't a clue. My sisters would remember that.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't think it's important. I don't think it's important to remember how many actually.
We would get to a town that we thought looked good and that we might enjoy, and we'd go. My dad would go to the manager of the theater and say, "Look, I'm a theater owner too," and they had stage shows then, you know, so we'd work in the stage show. And the 3 of us would go out and watch my mother and father, and we'd applaud my mother and father. Then when we go on, they'd go out and applaud us, you know. My mother used to sing a song, that I've always wanted to record. And as long as I can remember, the one thing I remember about that trip was she'd come out and sing a song and play the piano. So I thought, I've been saving for a rainy day.
That's the title of the chapter, incidentally.
Oh, is it?
The title, yeah. Saving for a rainy day.
And
across the country.
she sang it so well, and there was a recitative with a very sad kind of song. And every time I'd sit out in the audience and watch her, I'd just cry. It just broke my heart, you know. And anyway, we finally got to Los Angeles. And as we were coming through Los Angeles, we drove through the Manhattan. It was called Lancaster. And my father did mention that it would be a good place for a theater, you know, because there weren't any around there. But anyway, we went on to Los Angeles, and from what I imagined, from what I can guess, he was looking for theaters, for a theater to buy.
I don't care. When it comes to happiness, I want my share.